ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, join with me, ya la 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 la, sing loudly wherever you are, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh. We say it over and over again. Olam chesed yibana, yadadai, dadai, dadadadadai. Olam chesed yibana, yadadai, dadai, dadadadadai. Olam chesed yibana, yadadai, dadai, yadadadadai. Olam chesed yibana, yadadai, yadai, dadadadadai. I will build this world. I will build this world from love. Yadadai, dadai, yadadadadai. And you must also. And you must build this world from love. Yadadai, yadai, yadadadadai. And if we build this world from love, yadadai, dadai, yadadadadai, then God will build this world from love. Yadadai, dadai, yadadadadai. Olam chesed yibana, 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 yadadai, yadai, yadadadadai.
Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful to be together. Let me make sure I am all functional here. My video is on. Wonderful to be together once again. Even though Cantor Sager and I are not in the same physical spaces, and we're not certainly in with you in your physical space, we feel that you are with us as always. A reading to begin our service. Dear God, we ask that you be there for us as you were for our ancestors, a pillar in our midst. Help us to turn to you, O God, for guidance during these troubled times. Give us strength for the weeks ahead. Help us to reach out in love and compassion to one another, to support those who are ill, unable to leave their homes, or who are struggling financially. Be with our doctors and caregivers, our nurses and scientists, as they are working to develop a cure and care for those who are ill. Be with all who are ill and their families, offering them your compassion, and we pray your healing. Be with our leaders, guide them to wise decisions in these troubled days. And be with us, O God, help us to find the inner strength to be patient when our nerves are tested. Be our still waters when we are surrounded by fear and anxiety. Be our rock to whom we can turn and give our worry and fears. Be our shelter. Guide our steps and keep us safe. Help us to feel your presence in these times of change. And we say, Amen. We continue now with Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
And if you have your Mishkan Tefillah, we continue with Mi Chamocha on page 40.
Mi Chamocha Vayim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Noroti Lo Osefele, Noroti Lo Osefele, Malchutecha Ra'uvanacha, Bokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe uMiriam, Zeili Zeili Anu Ve'amru, Adonai Imloch Leolam Vaed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la la.
As we turn to page 55, you have your Mishkan Tefillah with you for Hashkivenu. We think about this time when we are all not together as we wish. I officiated at a funeral just earlier today, and it took all I could to not want to reach out to the family and give them a hug or at least shake a hand or a pat on a shoulder. I find that I'm feeling limited in my abilities to serve and to pastor and just to be the kind of person I wish to be and live my life as fully as I wish, as I'm sure so many of you feel the same. When we go to bed at night, and there is a prayer of Hashkivenu that we sing and we'll sing in a moment that reminds us that God lay us down to sleep and raise us up to life renewed. And God willing, one of these days, and may it come soon, we will be able to return to our lives and to greeting each other and holding each other and being a blessing to each other in the ways that we all wish to be. We sing this song now with that in mind of Hashkivenu, page 55.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom, Tamidei Eloheinu Shomreinu L'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us when wisdom, compassion, and trust. Ashkiveinu Adonai, Eloheinu Shalom. Hamideinu Shomreinu L'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Ashkiveinu Adonai, Eloheinu Shalom. Hamideinu Shomreinu L'chaim. L'chaim.
We continue now with Shalom Rav, page 60 in your prayer books, or you can just see the screen share right here on Zoom.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam. Yatahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Yatahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinacha levarech et Amacha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה לשלום עמך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Let us take a few moments of silent prayer.
We are anticipating this coming week, Monday night and Tuesday, our annual observance of Yom HaShoah, the day that we reserve for remembering those who perished in the Holocaust. the psalm that most encapsulates our sense of loss, of longing, of yearning is Psalm 137, by the waters of Babylon. That was the first time we were exiled from our land. And we sang songs of hope and that someday we might be restored to Zion. That is our eternal hope. A Zion not just physically in the land of Israel, in the state of Israel that miraculously exists and that in fact rose out of the ashes of the Holocaust, and whose independence we will celebrate the following week, but a Zion of the world at peace, in harmony, liberated from every constraint and every sadness. I invite you to join with me in the Hebrew and then in the English. Narod, narod, avel, shom, yashavnu, gam, bachinu, v'zochreinu, 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 et Zion, by the waters of Babylon. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember, we remember thee, Zion. On the road, on the road, on the road, Avel, Shom Yashavnu, Gam Bachinu, V'zochreinu, 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 et Zion.
We continue with Tefillat Mishaberach, our prayer for healing. And that can be found in your Mishkan Tefillah on page 253, page 253. We think about those in our community who are in need of healing. Ray Basson, Adam Beskind, Rita Blaugrund, Steve Blumenthal, Richard Bugamoni, Daniel Boyle, Jacob Butsy, Joyce Braun, Lisa Chinsky, Jeannie Epstein, George Fendel, Nina Fisher, Jack Flater, Don Friedland, Tom First, David Goldfein, Carol Jacobson, Henry Jacobson, Edith Isaacs, Ethan Kadish, Patricia Kipstool, Dennis Klein, Michael Kleinman, Larry Kravitz, Sidney Lappin, Alan Levetter, Charlie Lewis, Linda Lovell, Maximilian Ma, Peter Marmaros, Scott Miller, Rochelle Shelley Moriyama, Tim Nenig, Rabbi Robert A. Nosenchuk, David Novins, Dylan Pollock, Elaine Portman, Jewel Price, Betsy Ripner, Elsie Rothman, David Schlein, Stephen Schlein, Linda Snyderman, Dorothy Samoji, Michelle Tarzi, Brenda Tinker, Isabel Wolf, Joyce Abel, Aharon Melech Ben Shmuel V'Rivka Miriam, Aliza Bat Yitzchak Chaim HaKohen V'Zelda Jenny, Mara Bat Rachel, Rivka Bat Freda Leah. We also know that there are many who have not been mentioned on the list today, And we wanted to give you a chance to mention the name of someone you're thinking about who is in need of healing. We take a pause as we allow you the time to consider those loved ones in your life who you'd like to lift up their names. And you could do that out loud in your own space right now, or just say it in your hearts. And we also think about those who suffer from maladies that are felt but can't always be seen. We hold them close at this time as we continue with Tefillat Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor Avracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imoteinu Mekor Avracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We think about those also who are celebrating milestones, and particularly a milestone birthday or milestone anniversaries. We at least know of 3 individuals who have called in previously to let us know that it was a milestone birthday. Both we have Phyllis Burles, Wendy Jacobson, and Linda Schlein. If you're watching right now, we want to wish you a hearty Mazel Tov. Perhaps there are those who are watching who are also celebrating other kinds of milestones. We'd like to lift you up as well. So Phyllis, Wendy, and Linda, if you wish, you could stand at your seats, certainly in your homes. We want to recognize you and acknowledge you, and we're just grateful that we get to spend another one of your birthdays with you together. Why don't we share this blessing?
And we'll join together as a congregation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Amen. Mazal Tov, many, many more in health and in strength.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. I think this is the time where I give a little drosh. So I'd love to share it with you. And just give me 1 second as I get to my drosh, my words I'd like to share with you. Okay. And I have to tell you, it is still feels different to not be able to see you and to see your reactions, to see the facial cues. I was just talking to a friend who about adult study and about working together and teaching, and when you teach, it's teaching is a very kind of fluid, symbiotic kind of thing, where you're able to teach, and then you're able to see reactions, and then you're able to see facial expressions, and you're able to gather whether somebody's really understanding what you're talking about, or if someone has a question, or someone's disturbed, in some way, what you're thinking, and you don't get those cues, so it becomes a much more kind of staggered, choppy experience, particularly when you're teaching on the platform of a kind of a virtual conference. And it may be a little bit easier to share a drash where I'm usually the one who's kind of primarily giving the thoughts of the day. But it also, I miss seeing your faces and being able to see your reactions to what I share. Nevertheless, here we go. In the first chapter of this week's Torah portion, Shmini, there is a dramatic scene. The biblical Aaron and his son spend an intense 7 days of prayer and sacrifice commemorating their ordination as high priests, only to emerge back into the community afterwards. On that 8th day, filled with pomp and splendor, Aaron dramatically lifts his hands before the Israelites and he blesses them. The text then tells us Moses and Aaron went inside the tent of meeting. And when they came out a second time, the presence of God appeared to all the people, and the people saw, and the people shouted, and they fell on their faces. I've always been intrigued by the biblical phrase, Vayapol al panav, or Vayiplu al panim, panehem, which is the plural. They fell on their faces. Such an odd term for we English speakers, because it truly doesn't reflect what is going on in the minds of those who do this act. It is found in other places, this phrase, Vayipol al panav, other places in the Torah. Falling on one's face in the Bible is a serious matter. No slapstick silliness here. Perhaps its most famous appearance is when Moses falls on his face, Vayipol al panav, when he is unable to muster up the spirit or the wisdom to confront terrible rebellion led by Korah. My colleague, Rabbi David Evan Marcus, reflects on this passage. He writes, Moses took seriously his calling to lead by example, to remind others to find awe and humility within themselves by first displaying it himself. Precisely when his premise of leadership was most challenged, Moses rose to the occasion by going all the way down in a posture of humble submission. He fell on his face. In his time of trouble, Moses enters into this tent of meeting, a place to commune with God, and emerges stronger and more resolute, but also humbler. To fall on one's face requires a sense of humble humility, a sense that we don't know everything in this moment, that perhaps we're incredulous, perhaps we're seeking some portal of truth that we have yet to discover. And so when Moses enters into the tent of meeting, it's for that purpose, to commune with God, to gain clarity. And when he comes out, he emerges stronger and more resolute. And he also emerges humbler. So what really happened in that tent of meeting that was so transformative for our great leader? And what can we learn about the practice of entering into our own private spaces in order to emerge redeemed? It's hard to know. Our personal relationship with God is, well, personal. No one can dictate what your theology should or could be, what you should believe or what you should disbelieve, although many people try. Each one of us might ascribe different meanings to what our tent of meeting is, the place where we discern meaning in life and our place in it. Jews have certainly not cornered the market on finding places of solace and prayer. Sure, Christian monks still make it a practice today by dwelling in monasteries. We all have our sanctuaries of in reality and or in spirit. And I have wondered what it would mean if the homes in which we are hunkered down right now are our current tents of meeting. Are these the places where we huddle into to discover where we are? Maybe incredulous to what's going on outside in the world, we come into our homes and we try to figure it out. We try to discover some truths and what the world perhaps is telling us in this moment. And how should we react? How do we manage anxiety and troubling thoughts? What might it look like, too, to emerge from these homes that are our tents of meeting right now? What might it look like to emerge more whole, like Moses and Aaron? Could we indeed be redeemed from these moments? I have wondered also that time and again, our texts teach that we gain strength and confidence in our lives by turning inward, by going into our very own tents of meeting. It is these places where we can be our most vulnerable and learn to access our hidden truths. Some people do this through meditation, and some people do this through going to yoga or physical exercise. We all have our retreats, our places where we go to. So maybe we can discover ourselves better and we can learn how to adapt more in the world. And in the age of Corona, we all have days when we go into those spaces and we come out not as we wish we would and as we imagine for ourselves. We try to push every button and pull every lever we're supposed to do and get into the place we need to be, and yet we still don't emerge as we wish. Being human, though, means that we must daily roll with the punches, that we should consider our frailties, our vulnerabilities, our imperfections. They are part of the holiness God designed within us. And not every day is truly redeemable in the way we wish. In this way, Moses teaches us valuable lessons on what it means to be human. In the very same places of discord and disconnect, perhaps we can also find meaning. Isn't it Moses who confronts God some very, very ambivalent ways? There's contention with God in the very same places in the tent of meeting where God actually Moses confronts God. In those very same places, Moses can seek solace with that same source. So to fall on one's face suggests that we don't have all the answers and we make mistakes. And as the euphemism teaches, we must fall silent, listen, pray on the things that prey on us, fall on our faces. It won't always yield perfection, but maybe, just maybe, we reach the summit of our humanness just in the practice of striving for it. I'd like to conclude with a moment that happens at our temple only once a year on Yom Kippur. Once a year, when your clergy do something novel in the realm of our entire religious season. On Yom Kippur, we prostrate ourselves before God, and we fall on our faces. It is perhaps the most important thing we do all year symbolically, because we show you, our community, that we are one and that we are imperfect. It is in this act that we physically seek to practice humility before you, before God, before ourselves. It is at that moment when our faces fall to the very same stone floor upon which the soles of our shoes tread. It is in that moment of falling so low to the ground that our inner souls can truly become buoyant and true. May we each find meaning in our respective places of meeting, and may we emerge from it stronger, wiser, humbler, so we can better be vessels of goodness, vessels of blessing. And we say, Amen. We now continue with our mourner's Kaddish. We think about those in our community, remember those in our community who have died in the last 30 days. We remember Linda Kaplan, Lynette Goodman, John Kepler, Miriam Ronis, Golda Solomon, Tootie Stewart, Janice Carno, Karen Sue Groden, Marlon Ludwig, David Brule, Suzanne Chloe, Janet P. Gilberg, Alvin L. Gray, Ruth Schneebalg, Mark Gordon, Jeffrey Lavin.
And on this Shabbat, we observe the yard sites of the following. Our dear beloved Rabbi Arthur J. Lelyveld, Lenore Akers, David Beer, Morton Berry, Lenore Maykoff Bialaski, Frida Kaplane, Louis Cholfin, Dorothy B. Cohn, Louis A. Cohn, Herbert Lederer Cohn, Sadie F. Cole.
Samuel A. Cowan, Sanford Deutsch, Sally Dietz, Isidore Einhorn, Harry M. Eisenberg, Henrietta Lillian Eisner, Molly Fine, Albert T. Fisher, Sanford G. Fleischman, Daniel A. Friedman, Michael Friedman, Jerome S. Ginsburg, Ray D. Glazer, Elsa S. Goldsmith, Louis Gordon, D. Gross, Marvin Gross, Benno Hirsch, Celia Zucker Hirsch, Sally Jacobs.
Max M. Jaffe, Frankie Joseph Jr., Millie Cantor, Lillian Jacoby Kaplansky, Rose Lazarowitz Kaufman, Sanford Kickler, Eugene M. Klein, Violet Klein, Molly L. Krause, Lou W. Lample, Louis A. Lazarick, Peter R. Levitch, Dr. Albert L. Lewin, Gussie Marks, Ronald I. Mazer, Hyman J. Mervis, Dr. Samuel R. Michael, Sanford J. Miller, Sanford Morrison, Robert M. Naiman.
Ruth R. Newman, Lois Novosel, Antoinette Phillip, Geraldine M. Pinchuk, Pearl Esther Polster, Abe Ressler, Eva B. Rosenblum, Mars Rubin, Edwin Shen Farber, Joseph Schneider, Marcel Schnurmacher, Howard B. Schultz, Dr. Emmanuel E. Siegel, Rana L. Simon, Lottie Greenfield Skull, Julia Konsag, Alvin Spiegel, Robin Stringer, Elaine M. Wachs, Marcia Z. Weil, Anna Spitz Zvi. If we have omitted a name or mispronounced a name, I invite you at this time to share that name with us. And now we invite those who are mourners to stand at your seat. And if it's your tradition, we invite you to stand with our mourners at this time as we continue with the reading of the Kaddish Praise. Page 294 in your prayer books. Yitkadal, v'yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah. Ve'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei. V'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael. V'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam alomeo maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha Richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Peace and peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say together, Amen.
Amen. I have come to look forward to this particular part of our virtual service when we light candles together. And Rabbi Caruso, I'm going to ask you if you can see my candles because sometimes I don't have it exactly. We're good. This is a home-based ritual, and it just feels very connected that I should be lighting my candles in my home when hopefully many of you are lighting candles in your home. And I was reviewing this week the candles. Actually, I was having a conversation with my daughter, the rabbi in Minneapolis, and many of us are aware that we have to light that is our tradition, to light 2 candles. The reason for that is because in the commandment that says observe the Sabbath day, it tells us in 2 ways how we should observe it. We should guard it, chamor, and we should zahor, and we should remember. We should guard and we should remember the Sabbath day. And to continuously reinforce that commandment and to teach us, we light 2 candles. But we may light more than 2 candles. In fact, we can light as many candles as we would like. I remember my grandmother used to light 6 candles. And I don't ever remember asking her why. And it occurs to me she had 3 children and a husband. That might have been 4 in addition to the 2. I don't know, but she always lit 6 candles. At any rate, my daughter Jennifer was telling me that in some homes in Minneapolis, it has become the very, very recent practice to light an additional candle for every week of this shut-in. So I share that with you. It's a way of keeping track. It's a way of keeping count. It's a way of marking this time. There are many symbols that we might use additional candles for, that perhaps the increasing light from week to week strengthens us, encourages us, and uplifts our hearts, that the light of healing and of wellness will dawn soon. So let us join together. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la la la. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu v'hadlik ner, v'tzivanu v'hadlik ner, v'tzivanu v'hadlik ner, shel Shabbat. And let us join together in Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei ori agafen. Amen. L'chaim.
Chaim.
And we wish each other Shabbat Shalom. May this be a Sabbath of peace, of rest, of renewal, of finding ourselves within our own sanctuaries, within our own tents, and emerging stronger for the week. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Umevorach. Shabbat Shalom. Umevorach. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
And as we conclude our service, thank you for that beautiful, it's a nice way of entering into the Sabbath, Cantor. As we think about good feelings of Shabbat, we look ahead to next week. We have some activities coming up that we'd like to share with you, just to make sure you know that on Monday night at 7 o'clock, there is a Federation Yom HaShoah commemoration that will happen on Zoom, actually. So if you check out our most recent e-blast that was sent out yesterday from our temple, it includes information about that, but you can also visit the Jewish Community Federation of Cleveland's website to find out more. And then on Wednesday, we will be hosting virtually Keisha Crum, who is the new lead organizer for Greater Cleveland Congregations. And that'll be specifically for us, for our core team and beyond, for our whole congregation to meet her. Many of you haven't had the chance. We had a very successful action, which seems like light years ago, and at Olivet Institutional Baptist Church. And Keisha was there, but many of you didn't have the chance to really get to know her. She's only been here since last November, and she wants to share with you a little bit of her story, and certainly what are the vision, what's the vision for GCC moving ahead. So please join us for those activities, as well as just keep looking on our Facebook page, Cantor's Weekly Meditations, which has been a wonderful addition for us and our congregation, as well as various emails that we continue to send to you. Wishing you a sweet Shabbat and just a restful one.